Hello and welcome to some Wukong gameplay, folks. We haven't had a Wukong file in a long time, so we're divvied up with Chocolate, Vladivostok, Hawk, Wargaming, Mines, Edinburgh, and Wukong. Now, the guys I'm divvied up with, I'm going to be honest, they aren't as aggressive as Cap, me, or Devil, or Rokatsuki, or even Volron. They're not as aggressive. I mean, in terms of operations skill level, let's be honest. Operations players have, a range of skill levels on how far they can push themselves. Some play more, normally and passively. Others, like myself, play extremely bold and aggressive. I would say they're around in the middle, till lower end. They know what they're doing, but they don't do aggressive styles. And I'm going for an aggressive style in this run. Like, stupidly aggressive.
Enemy destroyer detected.
The CV is trying to torp the DD. He gets pretty close on that first one, but Wukong has done a phenomenal job mastering how to do that. Really good at, hitting DDs at the spawn point. Muhammad picks it up to Nicholas. CV gets a nice, good strike on that one, so kudos to him. I lost about around 7,000 health there. It hurts, but I can make it work still. I have an 8 kilometer smoke firing penalty, so as long as I stay outside of that smoke firing penalty range, I can just shoot them from inside the smoke that I have. Dropped one set on the New York.
Enemy battleship detected.
And open up on the Indianapolis. Again, I've got about 3 salvos before the smoke runs out.
Enemy battleship sighted.
Probably about 4 salvos technically. I mean, we get about a pretty good amount of chunk damage on it. About 17,000. And then we switch back to HE. We are detected now. We do get 1 torp, no flood, which is unfortunate. The time we waited, that our others, we do pop our reload booster, and well, we dropped 1 set on the Wyoming. The BBs are looking at us now, so I have to angle to bounce those shells on my hull. We get a fire on New York. But we are bouncing those battleship shells. We're just trying to set fires. We do get a double fire on New York, so he's burning. And we're just bouncing these shells. Like, there's literally nothing they can do. But at this range, AP will work. You won't get citadels, but you will chunk. We get 2 torps and a double and 1 flood. We get a 7,000k strike. We do pick up the Wyoming with torps.
Enemy battleship destroyed.
And then we just bounce the rest of the shell. So we literally only lost about 9,000 HP in that maneuver. But we gain a crap ton of damage.
Enemy
Over
battleship
100,000, over 120,000 damage from that maneuver. So it pays off. Very little health loss, and was able to still manage to make it work. Both of our torp tubes are loaded and waiting, so we're going in for the cruisers now. Cruisers spawn right in front of us.
The ship is on fire.
We do pick up Marblehead. We angle into the other cruiser, so we bounce the AP. That's critical. DCP it, and last three torps basically killed the Omaha. So we went up another like 50,000 damage in like literally less than 20 seconds. And like in that whole maneuver, we only lost like 13,000 HP. It's a hard maneuver to pay off. I would say if the average player did that maneuver that we saw right here, I would say probably about 90% of the players that do this would die. It takes a very good player, not just operations player, but a good World of Warships player to pull this off. You've got to understand angling, you've got to understand damage controls, there's a lot of variables you've got to understand to pull these strategies off. These aren't beginner strategies. These aren't just, go in and get damage. These are based on game mechanics that players just aren't learning anymore, or they don't take the time to learn. In order to pull these off, I've understood game mechanics for like 4 to 5 years. Like, I've had to learn the game mechanics to understand how to pull these off. Once I understand the game mechanics, and the ships I'm facing, and my armor of my ship versus what I'm facing, I can pull these off. Meaning that you, as the average person, can pull these off, but you've got to learn the game mechanics. And usually that comes from, watching other YouTubers, of course, or learning the hard way through trial and error like I did. But the best way that you can learn the game mechanics is right as you start the game. You've got to get those game mechanics down really quickly. As soon as you start the game, you've got to be learning. You've got to hit the ground running. Watch some YouTubers. Doesn't matter if the video is like 4 to 5 years old. The information is still solid, especially if you're doing the low tiers. The low tier gameplay hasn't changed in 5 years. It is still roughly the same. It's only when you get to the high tiers that the information starts getting more harder. But at the very low tiers, 4 and 5, well, at this point, 3 through 5 are the critical. That's where you're going to determine if you're going to be a good World of Warships player or a bad one. That's what it comes down to. If you can master the basic game mechanics in those tiers, then you're on the right road to being able to perform really good. And that opens a lot of possibilities up to getting into better clans over time. And what I always say in my reviews, a clan is important, you've got to pick a good clan. Not just one that gives you economic bonuses, but one that uses a Discord that actively has some players on that you can learn from. Oh, I was unfortunate enough to not get any Citadel ribbons on that. That really slightly annoyed me. And I should have gone into the repair circle. That's the only thing I should have done differently.
Returning to ship.
Like, the shells are all right there, but we're just not getting the Citadel. They knock out our rudder, so we have to kind of DCP.
Problem solved, sir.
The shells are hitting, but no Citadels, which is unfortunate. And just by that salvo, you can see from Ricky's guns, there's no doubt that he's running the 155s. But he's also at enough angle that he can just Citadel. But again, it all comes down to game mechanics. And I feel like this Wukong video demonstrates a lot of game mechanics that people just don't learn anymore. That's just a given. We see players, new players coming into the game, they rush through to basically get up to the high tiers. Tier 8, Tier 6, to play ops, to play higher tier randoms, and they don't take the time to learn the mechanics. And let's be honest, they have terrible win rates, they have, their stats are honestly, they're in the low ball as far as water warship players go. And for veteran players, it's irritating. I've spoken with a number of veteran players from all across the clans I've been in, and it's a general consensus that we don't like it, but we also understand Wargaming has to make money.
Enemy destroyer foundered.
But I think some of us wish that they would make money by being honest and actually adding the content that is needed into the game, not what is needed. Tier 9 operations, if they brought Tier 9 operations, we'd see a lot of Tier 9 ships being sold. They could produce Tier 9 ships and sell them, and people would buy them for ops. Let's be honest. Or even just random. There is a market, but you've got to provide the selling goods. I'm all for getting Tier 9 ops and Tier 10 ops.
Torpedoes astern.
Even if, you know, let's just say the players were, honestly, let's just say they were terrible in Tier 10 ops. All you need is maybe 3 players that know what they're doing to really care. And if you multiply that in really good ships like Ohio and comparable, the good ships like steel and coal ships, or even just even the normal ships, tech ships, you can carry.
Aircraft carrier Raptor destroyed.
but the very first, like, 5 minutes of the battle were literally the high points of this match. After that, it's just kind of like piecemeal damage.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
The ship is on fire. Problem solved, sir.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Again, our rudder gets knocked out, so we're stuck in a turn, meaning we can't go on the
Ship is on
heel,
fire.
and we're kind of screwed. We got one fire burning on us, we're going to get a second fire on us, and double fires, no chance of heal. It's not looking good for us. Well, that we're bouncing and taking AP shells from everywhere. We could easily get a shot from across the map from the Iowa, and we'd be dead. But 252,000 for the current damage, it's not a bad game. It's not a bad game at all.
All forces, provide cover for that target.
And you can literally see the North go. His guns are legitimately just pointed at me. You can see they're looking at me.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Although, unfortunately, in that position, only the first gun, the second gun can shoot. Not the first one, because of the bow. As you can see, just looking at the bow, you get lucky. So, only one gun shoots at that angle. Because of the bow. Now, at this angle, two guns can shoot. Shocklaw picks up the North Cove.
Spotter returning to ship.
Iowa kills Edinburgh. And we do cross 300,000. I should have just kept HE loaded, but whatever. Well, that was a really good match. Really good match. 312k, 5 kills, 2,000 free XP, decent amount of credits. Didn't make top, but demonstrated perfect Wukong gameplay. Looks like it was mostly the Cleveland that did the majority of the damage, and some of the battleships. But other than that, it was pretty easy. I mean, those fires from Cleveland really did hurt, though. Or Omaha and Cleveland.